All right, guys, what's up? Here with Maddchadd. It's finally
What up,
it's
what
finally
up?
happened, and we just reconnected together with Bop and Andre. I think for the first time in quite some time, where it was the three of us.
Yep.
And it's funny. I meant to say this to Chad right before we started, but it's even better that I get to say this on camera. Chad, I want to tell you, I'm super grateful that I have such a close relationship with Andre because of you, because I live with you, and you brought Andre to live with us, and
Right.
he was just around, and me and him or like stay up all night
Yeah.
naturally, and so I had got to be very close with him, and I feel like that was a real gift, and I super kind of took it for granted. Like, yeah, Andre, yeah, sure, but had it not been for you, it would be more like Flat Top. Like, I don't have that same relationship with Flat Top. I don't know him
Right.
as well.
Yeah. Well, you're welcome.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I don't think I was doing it consciously
of course,
necessarily,
of course.
but I did. Okay. So that's a half truth essentially. Like, I think I did want to show you guys like a different side or a different mentality. You know what I mean? Because I did feel very
outnumbered.
well, not just that, but like I did feel very grateful that I was exposed to a different perspective on the whole thing. You know what I mean? I didn't like I saw popping, I saw boogaloo, I saw waving, I saw all this stuff, but my like the spark for me was different, and I just kind of wanted to like kind of open your guys' eyes to that, to the Bop and Andre magic.
So for anybody that has no idea what we're talking about, Chad and I were roommates about 15 years ago with J-Rock and Pop and Todd at the Kester Hostel, Sherman Oaks, and it was a very magical time. And during part of that time, both Bop and Andre, and Pop Tart were living
crashing
with
us, at our
place.
pad.
And it was like, it was special.
It was the best of times.
Yeah,
it was
exactly.
the worst of times.
Yeah,
it was pretty awesome.
Yeah, it was
man.
pretty awesome.
It was pretty awesome.
It's pretty awesome, like that it happened in the past.
I definitely, in the moment, like I definitely took it for granted, or didn't even consider it. Didn't even
totally,
think about it. It was just like, oh, this is cool. Like I want to do this.
Yeah,
this guy's cool. I want to do this. Like, but yeah, I mean, like. It was crazy because, like, I met you at Homeland.
Yeah.
You showed up with Todd and J-Rock, and you guys were like, "Oh, we're gonna, get a place down here and whatever." And I was living out of my car at the time.
Yeah, you dropped out of UCLA.
I was homeless,
full
living
ride
out of my car, crashing on Confusion, Rick's
floor.
Yeah, crashing on Todd's couch sometimes.
Yeah.
Just wherever, wherever I could be.
Yeah.
It got like a little uncomfortable in the back of my 1989 4Runner from time to time, and so I'd like hit a couch up. But I think I was when you guys showed up, I was like ready to, live a little bit of like a normal situation, like sleep a little bit, have like a place with a closet.
And you know what? For any haters out there, Chad can vouch, because I'm remembering this Homeland, because Chad and I I don't know how this happened, but we used to chat on AOL Instant Messenger before we ever met. And he sent me the like one of the first talent show Afro robot clips, and it was like, wow, this guy's really good. And when I showed up at Homeland, like I'm just moving to LA and all this, he's like, man, I'm really glad you're here. Like I can tell that you're just really passionate about popping. Like you really love popping. You have good energy with it. And it's like,
nice.
Here I am, like 15, still
in the shit.
I love popping.
Still popping's cool.
Yeah.
Dude, that's like my running joke. Like I'll be at an event and I'll turn to somebody I know and be like, popping's so cool. Like it just really is, man. Like, of course we're biased, like this is our thing, but like, God, dude, it's just the coolest shit.
It's just the coolest shit.
It just really is.
Like even so, the little tidbit, like I realized that what a genius. Like I realized what a genius Andre is, and he was talking about a battle that happened between Jordan and Mega Man, and how audiences love to see bigger movements that are not technical because they can understand them. And Andre's like demonstrating this.
Yes.
And he demonstrates being technical, and it's like so crazy how technical he is.
He always shows his highest level
Yeah,
of technique when he's like demoing or
giving like explaining a concept,
because it's like you
you
can't focus on it too
yeah,
much. You're
yeah.
distracted. So he's like, all right, I can show some real shit here real quick.
Yeah.
I'll just slip this in there. And like you're just kind of like, wait a second, no, wait, hold on, go back to that. What was that you're doing?
Yeah, and
he's like,
just
oh no,
moves
but
on.
but you know, it's about showmanship, whatever. And then he starts showing you the bigger movement. Just that idea of like what I said was, you've got to battle. You have to battle if you want to win. Okay, if you want to win, if you want to participate, if you want to get in there, like you have to battle. And he was like, no, you know, whatever. But essentially, he agreed with me. We were saying the same thing, just different ways. He was saying essentially, like, you got to play to the crowd. You have to get the crowd on your side. And that in and of itself it holds huge weight with the judges. You know what I mean? Now, some people...
Yeah, even if it's unconscious.
Even if it's unconscious, even if they want to go against the grain and they want to be like, no, it's this, you know, you got to hit these criteria. Even if they have a set, like... game plan in their head of like what they want to see, once that crowd starts losing their damn minds, they're like, oh wait, what? Oh, okay. Like it's just human nature. You can't deny it.
And just as a side note, in talking to Jordan about this after, he had such a beautifully like artistic response. He's like, you know, I'm not convinced I'm there to win. You know,
and look, honestly,
exactly.
like I align with that.
Yeah,
I totally.
I mean, that's why I love Jordan. I mean, because what a like confident response,
mature.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it shows like a level of like comfortability and thought, maturity, you know, and he's like,
attention.
Dude, I'm not trying to. I'm. For me, like I kind of got out of the battle game because just that. Well, a couple things. Firstly, battling makes you dance different. It changes the way you dance because you want to win. You have to do certain things to win. And you have to play to the judges. You have to play to the crowd. There's certain criteria you have to like, you know, I'm still dealing with this, you know, like you ain't popping, whatever. Like it's still a thing and you have to play to that. And I think I got to a certain point where I was just like, okay, I saw my style changing. I saw myself evolving in a way I didn't want to necessarily. And I had to step back and go, I want to like dig deeper and find out who Maddchadd is as a dancer. Like I really wanted to explore my style separate from the pressure of battling. And I mean, I still ciphered, you know, I would still go to jams and get in the circle and get down. But just that, and I think maybe that's a maturity thing. Maybe I wasn't mature enough to be okay to lose and just to get in there and share and exchange and learn. And probably it's something that I could probably like explore now. Like it would be easier for me. But yeah, back then it was just either you're in it to win it or you step back, you know?
Yeah, and the one thing I would say, because you like totally inspired me with what you just said. The one issue I have with doing that for myself is in typical me fashion, you're like this too. I just looked at the clock at some point. I was like, oh my God, I got to go to this event. And I get in an Uber and I show up and like, it's, you know, people are like, dude, it's like, there's only like an hour left or, you know, an hour. But then Diesel is like, oh bro, you showed up at like the perfect time. Like there was this huge lag. And then I see Jordan and Keon and Phil and they're all like leaving, you know, before the semifinals. I'm like, what? Why are you guys leaving?
Yeah.
And they're like, bro, we've been here all day. And that's my memory of battling is like you have to get there on time.
Oh yeah,
you
it's
have
exhausting.
to do a prelim. And then you have to wait a bunch of. So if the thing was, if the structure was different, and I could still just kind of show up, like I know what time to show up, and I know that there's not all this stuff. Because I actually really like that idea too, because I do think that there's a way that I could use that kind of push. But when I do like a cost benefit analysis of like
Right.
having to show up at a certain, it's like
I always liked the scenario when the stars aligned and I could just kind of sneak into the battle.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and show up, and it was just like, oh, it's happening right now. And like I'll never forget, like we I don't think, did you come to the Bay Area for the DNA Lounge Best of the Bay?
No, I didn't.
Okay, so that was a thing. I think I got off work I was working at Ralph's as a bagger.
As a scab.
It was a scab. Yeah, shoot, man. It's actually my brother.
A strike.
It's actually my brother who put me onto that gig because he did it. Him and a friend did it. And it was getting to that point where like I kind of needed some money.
Yeah,
like,
I remember you and Todd.
Both. Yeah, and so I scabbed it up, and it felt kind of gross, but
yeah, sure.
Then I got into it, whatever. And I remember I was working, and I come home, and like J-Rock's there, Pandora's there, and they're like, "Dude, we're going to the Bay. Like, we're gonna enter this battle. Do you want to come?" I was like, yes. Just that's what it was. It was just like you get home from work, people are rolling out to Frisco for this battle, and I packed like some clothes real quick, and we took off, and I didn't have enough time to stress about it. And the way my body works is like I have a very quick, like I'm grateful for this, but I have a very quick stress response. Like I get a hit of adrenaline really quick, and it improves my performance. It's performance enhancing, when it comes to physical activity.
Yeah, sure.
And when I ran track, it was like I felt like it was a bit of a superpower. Like in practice, I could only high jump like 6'8", but in a meet, like, I could jump higher. It just, I had the technique, but I could get this little hit of it, of adrenaline. But the longer,
I think that probably, I would guess that there's a likelihood that world-class performers, especially people like stage performers, stuff like that, if that's one of the things they have in common. Is that
I think it's a factor.
That thing hits them, and rather than shrinking, they become larger.
Yeah, and it's a muscle you have to work because everything in your body is telling you to run away from this. You know what I mean? Yeah. But like for me, the less time I have to think about the thing, the performance, the event, the battle, the track meet, whatever, the longer I have to think about it, the more it takes a toll on my body. Your body can only have that. It can only
handle so much like cortisol and
and then it
hormones,
peaks, and then it kind of plateaus, and then you get a performance drop off, and then you're worse off than you were before because your body's just, it needs to recover. You're exhausted,
And for everybody that's like, because I see this younger generation in LA now that reminds me of us. Like I feel like I hear their stories, and they're like, yeah, we all just went to Portland. Yeah, we all just went to Phoenix,
Yeah.
And that like really treasure that stuff.
Yes.
Because as you get older, one day you just wake up and somebody hits you up and they're like, we're going here, and you're like,
there's a physical, there's like a physical component.
Yeah.
Like I grew up in Southern California.
Yeah.
I grew up close enough to the beach. Like if you live close to the beach, you're in SoCal, like you're going to boogie board, you're going to try to surf, you're going to do this stuff. And I did. And it wasn't ever like my passion. Like it wasn't, my younger brother was always better at like the board sports, the activities. He had a better like base or something. I don't know, just better balance, so he could pick that stuff up right away. I had to like work just to be able to learn how to surf. Yeah. So it felt like work, but I didn't care about being in the water. I'd be in there with my board shorts in the middle of winter. The water's like 58 degrees. It's like 62 degrees out, and like I didn't care. Then something happened. Like it was around like 16 or 17 years old. I started to feel the water. Started to be like, Jesus, it's cold. Like, and then I would get like kind of like hypothermia, and like even then I got older and I'd wear the wetsuit, and then like eventually like I just didn't want to be in the water anymore. It's too cold. Like, and I became a bitch about it. You know what I mean? And like at some point the passion goes a long way, obviously. Sure. Like, but the traveling and stuff like takes a toll on your body. Totally. Like I used to just pick up and I would drive to Arizona. Like we would just go to Phoenix, like whatever. Or like I would drive to like Mexico or the
Yeah.
Bay or
Yeah, Vegas.
you know, me and Tyson asked me if I wanted to drive
Yeah,
to Austin, Texas.
Yeah.
Now, if I
Yeah,
think
you're
about
right,
driving to
I know.
Austin, Texas, dude, that's
Yeah.
an instant panic
Yeah,
attack. I'm like,
totally.
no way. No, like that's just not possible. I physically cannot do it.
Yeah, same. Yeah,
Not gonna happen.
totally. I don't even know if I'm gonna ever be able to leave Southern California again.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, that's my first thought when
thinking
somebody.
about TSA and thinking about
Yes.
like, I'm just like, I don't know, man. I don't know about these airports, all these pathogens everywhere, all these potential vectors
There's
for
that.
immune stuff. All
And then just
like,
you're not supposed to be flying through the
Yeah.
air in a metal tube,
yeah.
and just the stress of that takes a toll on you. Let alone the like jet lag and all
Yeah.
the things you're being exposed to, and like.
So to pull this back to
Yes.
Andre, and it really does. I'm so glad I have a segue. One of the main conversations I personally remember with Andre when I'm in that phase is being so passionate about popping and talking to him about it, and him saying like, I'm not that passionate about popping.
Yes.
And me like not believing him, like
Yes.
that it was not possible
Yeah.
to not be.
Well, he used to like make fun of us.
Yes, I
and like
know.
like you were like a prime example of that. Like
Yeah.
he would make fun of people for being like too into musicality or too into technique or too.
Or just like watching. I mean, we used to watch footage.
He's like, "What are you guys doing?
Yeah,
Like what? Just dance.
yeah,
Just do it."
yeah,
And we're like, "Yeah, but we're not you.
yeah.
Like we didn't grow up in an era and have the genetic predisposition to just be fucking awesome."
But to
Without-
see that, like you're saying, that the passion only carries you so far.
Sure. Yeah.
You know, and then you're like, okay, I guess
Yeah.
I'll do this.
But you have to work to cultivate it too.
right.
I think Dre's huge thing. I think his biggest thing is that like he just loves to be in front of people. He just loves like he's a clown.
yeah,
He's just a clown. He loves to like show up and show out and show off and be the center of attention and flirt and
Yeah.
like he just loves that energy. That's what he feeds off of. And I think like when he was a kid, the first thing he did that got that like attention was when he moved robotically. Like I remember this story he tells me about like, you know, back in the 70s, like everybody did robot, you know what I mean? And it was like he had been working on his little robot. There was a guy named, and this is all just, dude, I'm off the cuff right now.
yeah, for sure.
So Dre, if you see this and it's super inaccurate or whatever, sorry.
Sorry.
I'm doing my best.
Yeah.
There was this guy named Dexter, and Dexter was just this badass robot dancer. And, you know, there was no popping yet. And so everybody was doing the robot. And one time I think he was like 15 or 16, and he was like kind of outside this little circle. And he had been practicing a little bit, and I guess one of his friends like knew he had been and just kind of pushed him in there. And he was so anxious and so like scared that he started roboting with this like little animated
Wow,
shake.
yeah.
And like they went crazy. Like everybody went crazy. And you know, he just
Wow.
has that genetic, like he has a high percentage of fast twitch muscle
You
fibers.
want to go into that a little bit? Because
Yes.
I know Chad
I
is
would love to.
extremely passionate about this, and it's something that, you know, I don't think most people have even thought. They don't know what it is. They haven't thought about it, etc.
Sure. Well, popping, I mean, you know, it's a physical dance, and it requires use of like our physiology, our muscles, our tendons, everything like that. And it's to me, I can correlate it to like my track and field background. And some people just have a predisposition to run faster, to jump higher, to some people have, you know, better endurance. They have more lung capacity. They have lower resting heart rate. And that's usually like a good indicator of like their capacity for like long distance running.
Just
or,
out of curiosity, because I know you have an interest in MMA, and it feels like MMA is the sport that has taken this kind of testing the deepest. At this point, do fighters, can they get almost like pushed into different directions based on results of these kinds of tests?
Oh, I think absolutely.
Okay,
I think
sure.
absolutely. But I mean, MMA has evolved to the point where like you can't have holes in your game. You have
Fair.
to even if you're super explosive
Yeah.
and your propensity is for power and one punch knockouts and stuff, you got to have takedown offense. You got to have cardio. You have to have jujitsu. You have to have all these elements because one little chink in your armor, one little
Done.
it's over.
Done.
Like if somebody can take you down and you don't have recourse for that, it's over. I don't care how, like the chances of the one punch knockout are getting like slimmer and slimmer. And what's really happening now is like people are opening up holes with other techniques for that one punch knockout.
Yeah.
They're
Tricking.
Yeah, they're kind of like
Baiting.
they're opening up stuff by attacking other things. Somebody who's like, maybe they have a ton of power, but they learn like a really good leg kick game, and they're like, well, this guy's got great defense. I can't just knock him out, and they attack the legs, with these legs.
That's what I was gonna add. That was because I think of
they're
Conor attacking Nate Diaz's legs over and over, and it makes me think, oh, well, that would set somebody up to be slower, so that you can then.
They're just thinking about it.
Yeah.
They're just thinking about it, and that's just enough. That's just that little
open,
edge to open, have them like, kind of hesitate for a split second when they feint a kick, and then they throw. He throws that weird left uppercut or whatever. Like it's just, but So my point is that we have a predisposition for certain things, and some of us, Bopp and Andre specifically, have a higher percentage of fast twitch muscle fibers, and fast twitch muscle fibers allow you to move more explosively and with more power. So it makes you faster. You can jump higher. You can hit harder. And, there's varying degrees of this, but like having been around a lot of dancers, a lot of poppers, a lot of
athletes.
A lot of athletes too. Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
Track athletes.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I don't know. I'll be honest. I don't know the specific formula for what makes a popper like crispy and
sure.
and more explosive. Like I would love to see it studied. I would love to get muscle biopsies and like and really understand, because they've done that with sprinters and jumpers and basketball players and stuff like that, and they know, kind of what's going on. And
when I have Flowmaster on, I want to talk to him about this kind of stuff because I feel like he's
really
thinking in that
I mean, he could
direction.
jump in for like a celebrity MMA fight right now and just roast 99.9% of people out there. Like he's very well rounded. His conditioning is insane, like insane conditioning. His all his skill work and his his work on like proprioception and balance and stuff like that. Proprioceptors are like all the little ligaments and tendons and everything that help balance you and kind of, and those go
give
really
you like a map of yourself in space, so that you know where you are.
Yeah, but it's also like they're in your shoulder, they're in your hips, they're in your ankles, they're in all these things, and it allows you to like change direction quicker. I mean, that's a huge thing. If you can change direction quickly in anything, like that's MMA fighters that can.
I mean, I think that makes me think of Andre.
Oh God,
like with the stops and quick.
And I didn't, the thing is, I didn't really think about it. Like when I first saw Dre and I was first learning from him and everything, I knew he was tight. I knew he was crisp in his dime stop and he was controlled, and like I didn't understand the physiology behind it,
Sure.
And well, to me, it's more than biomechanics and how your body moves. It's more like the makeup of your body. You know what I mean? Like what the tendons are actually made of, what the muscle fibers actually are.
Yeah.
And there were a couple moments, I think the first thing that comes to mind is being in Boston with him. And look, I was around Bopp and Andre because he blew my fucking mind, and he made me legitimately question the reality of what I was saying.
Yeah,
let's start there.
Yeah, let's start there.
Let's start there. Okay, so
24 minutes in. Let's start this.
Let's start with the first time I ever saw Bopp and Andre We got to it. We're getting here.
Yeah, it's
But
happening.
but even to get there, I got to go back a tiny bit.
Okay. I love it. Yeah. Okay.
I'm not going to tell my whole story about how I got into popping and
Yeah,
everything.
we'll do that. We'll do that
yes.
live with Maddchadd.
Yes. Boom.
Yeah,
There you go.
yeah.
Okay, so I was into b-boying and stuff, and then I had seen popping. I went to like freestyle session 2000, I think, and I had some videos. I had seen like Salah. I had seen Bionic Man. I had a couple friends. There was a kid down the street from me that was a raver, and he would see me practicing in my garage like b-boying, and he's like, "Oh, you should do this." And it was like liquid and glides, and I just was not. I was like, "Yeah, that's cool."
I'm not impressed.
I was just not. It just didn't do anything to my brain. You know what I mean? I saw air flares, and that was like, oh my god, like what? How? That idea of like, how is that possible? I think really drove me and really like ignited my passion for all this stuff. So I had seen popping. I went to a couple different events, and I got stuck at. It was B-Boy Summit 2002.
Which was also my first event.
That's the one, man. That's for a lot of us.
Yeah,
that was the one.
It really was.
Tetris was there. He had the rat vision,
Yeah.
the fisheye lens.
And I also think that was the first time that really high level popping from our generation in the form of Aki-san appeared. You know,
so I didn't get to see any of the battles at B-Boy Summit.
It was that first day.
It was free.
Yeah, I was there.
That's what I could do. I could go to the free day.
Downtown.
I was there for b-boy.
Yeah.
I was there for b-boying. I walked through that front little gate.
Yeah.
And there was a popping circle right there.
Yeah.
And I was like, "What is this?" Like, I never made it to the b-boying because I was so like intrigued.
Yeah.
But it was the sort of thing where I was like, "This is cool." My mind wasn't blown.
Yeah.
I could see them popping. I could see where the hit was coming from. I think that was a big thing for me. I was like, "Oh, they're flexing their muscles and they're going like this," and I could see it. No negative connotation with that whatsoever. I just saw it. I was interested, and I'm kind of standing there. And because I was b-boying and I'd seen tapes and stuff and everything, I could already pop a little bit. I didn't know like what, I couldn't Fresno or anything. I just had this like little bot. I had a little bot and like kind of like a little hit.
Yeah.
And I was kind of off to the side messing around and stuff. And I saw Aki, I saw Popula, I saw Spacewalker. Spacewalker was probably my favorite out of the people that I saw.
Sure.
Because it was kind of animated, you know what I mean? And I was
those walks, and he had a kind of costume vibe too.
Yep.
Like he had a whole character.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was cool. Who else did I see? Anyways, I saw a bunch of poppers. I'm standing there on the side. I started talking to Wavo.
Yeah.
And he was just super cool. And Wavo and I had already talked online a little bit.
Yeah.
And it was like, "Oh, Wavo, yeah." My timing gets fuzzy because I don't know if I had already been to Homeland by this point or not. I don't remember.
Okay.
But all I know is I met Tabo. And for whatever reason, Tabo saw me do like a little something, and he just started talking to me. And we started talking, and I don't know what the hell we talked about. I have no clue because I didn't know anything about popping. I was just like, huh?
Yeah.
Whoa, this is kind of cool. That's how I was with all the stuff.
Yeah.
I was just coming to LA. I lived close enough to LA, but I was just coming out to like these events and stuff.
Yeah.
Luckily, my best friend in high school, he got me tickets to Freestyle Session 2000, my junior year of high school. I think it was 2000 or 2001.
Sure.
And that's where I saw, Skill Methods and maybe some guys from the Bay.
Sure.
I saw Iron Monkey, and I just saw all this crazy stuff. So that's how I was with all this. I was like, "Whoa, that's cool. Whoa, that's cool." So that's what popping was for me.
Yeah.
Then Tabo, he tells me like, "Oh, next weekend, or maybe it was 3 weeks from there. I don't even know what the timing was, but he was like, 'You need to come to this other thing. It's Pandora's birthday party.'" And I was like, "Oh, okay. Like, where is it?" We connected. It was Pandora's birthday party in Westminster. And by this point, I had seen popping, I'd seen b-boying, but like I said, it was just cool. Yeah. That's what it was for me. We're there, we're hanging out, I see Motion Sickness, I see Pandora, I'm like meeting all these people, it's like amazing. I'm there with Tabo, he's having a beer, and he like gets really excited. Tabo just gets really excited. And by this point, I mean, to me, he's just like this chill dude that's just like, he's like, "Oh," he gets really excited, he like hits me on the shoulder, and he's like, "Oh, you have to watch this guy," like whatever. And I was like, "Oh, okay." Like, he's hype. Like, let's check this out.
Yeah.
And I kind of get ready, and it's Boppin Andre, and it's just this middle-aged black guy in an all white like pimp suit.
Yeah.
And he comes out and he kind of gets ready, And of course, everybody always thinks this, you know, when they're like at a concert or something and they see somebody. But like, I feel like he was dancing for me.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like I was this confused kid trying to figure this stuff out. And I was interested and I needed an answer. I needed a direction. And he was like, here you go. It's happening right now. And he just kind of looked around like, hey, what's up, everybody? Like, kind of prepped himself. Boom. And just became a mechanized killer droid, like whatever. And I literally, every time I tell this story, like, I feel like I'm getting chills. Like, that was the first time. I mean, by this time I'm already, like, I'm an adult.
Yeah.
Like, I think I was 19,
Sure.
18 or 19.
Yeah.
And I legitimately, first of all, he did like his little kind of spacewalk thing. And like, I felt like the ground was moving. I felt literally like the earth was tilting, and I was like, I kind of had to like check myself.
Vertigo, yeah.
Yeah, and I kept having that moment where I'm just kind of like checking to see if everybody else is seeing this. Are you guys seeing this shit? Like,
yeah.
Is this really happening? Like, that was the first time in my life that like I was like, somebody 3 feet from me was making me question the reality of what I was seeing.
Closer, Mike, closer a little bit.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the first time it was creeping. Sorry about that.
That's cool.
The first time that I like was questioning whether or not what I was seeing was real.
Yeah.
Like, and that was the initiation for me of like everything like that. It wasn't that like, oh, I'm going to start doing this now. I'm going to start.
It's like, this is all
bopping.
there is.
I'm going to start.
Yeah.
It was like, it was almost as if like I'm doing this now.
Yeah.
Like, this is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
This is what I've been doing.
Yeah.
This is what I do.
Yeah.
It wasn't a question. It wasn't a decision.
Yeah. It's amazing.
It was almost like, not to get too heady or too like spiritual about it or whatever, but like in that moment, like I felt like we were, like he was my long lost uncle or something, and like I found out like I'm like, this is my family. Like, this is my bloodline. Like, this is my what is it called? Not my lineage, but oh God. Oh, I can't think of it. It's like a royal term or something.
Sure.
Like, it's just you're born into it.
Yeah.
And this is God, I'll think of it at some point. But yeah, it was. And you know, going back a little bit for a second.
Yeah.
I grew up obsessed with robots and machines, and in another life with a little bit more like brain power and IQ and strict nature, like I was probably like a mechanical engineer or something. You know what I mean? Like, that's always something I had.
I mean, it still wouldn't surprise me if middle-aged Chad goes that direction.
I mean,
that wouldn't shock
I dick
me.
around with stuff. I like build stuff and whatever, but it's never, you know, with that like technical prowess, you know. But I always had that. Like, I always took stuff apart, and I built. It was before like the Lego Mindstorm stuff. There was some other kit, and I built like a robot Brontosaurus and like a robot T-Rex and some other little robots when I was a kid, and I was obsessed with RoboCop and Terminator. And for whatever reason, like, I mean, you know, lucky for me, but my dad he always watched old movies, and he always watched all the claymation, all the Ray Harryhausen movies, and I would watch them with him. He and I both had like a weird like late night thing. We would like meet up in the middle of the night at like 4 a.m. We would wake up. In my childhood home, it was a single story, but like I would just come out to get water or whatever. My dad would be out there like watching TV, and we would watch like Sinbad and the Seventh Voyage or whatever. And also on top of that, I was always like, I loved like shitty animatronics. Like when we went to Disneyland, like I knew the pirates weren't real, but I liked the way they moved. I don't know why. And so when I saw Dre that first time,
That's like a perfect storm.
Dude,
like
it was like
it's like your whole
it was like
life
the
came
Matrix.
together.
It was like, I know Kung Fu. Like it was like it wasn't that quick, but it was all there for me already. I just didn't know you could move your body like that, you know? So I didn't see Dre again for like a year after that.
Wow.
In that year, I got kind of good.
Yeah.
Due to just being massively obsessed with it.
Yeah.
And then he saw me after a year.
Yeah,
Tabo made me talk to him. I was like, oh,
I remember the first time I heard about you, I think you and I were already chatting at this point, but where I heard about you externally was at Pakalika talked about seeing you at Carnival.
Yeah.
And being like, oh, this guy, this Chad guy is like a dope robot. And that was a time where, at least as far as I know, like that's how you heard about people. Like there would be some post on a forum. Like I was at this event. Like that's where I first heard about Poppin John.
Old school marketing.
He almost beat Legend at some event in Phoenix. And it's like, what? Somebody almost beat somebody I never heard of. Almost beat. So it's like this kind of thing. Like, oh, whoa. And also that was a time when you didn't really hear about people being good at robot or animation. It was like everybody was, oh, they're good. They boogaloo well. Yeah. That was it. So it was like, oh, that's interesting. And I also want to take a brief moment, and I've done this like 100 times on my commentaries, but to reiterate that Chad and Tetris to me are the legitimate kings of our generation in terms of thinking for themselves. And it's really the older I get, the more I'm like, dude, that was very impressive, because you see groupthink in like every aspect of life, you know, politically, artistically, on and on and on, and they were like, you can't even imagine it now. It was just a known thing that boogaloo was the best style, the realist style, the original style, it's the
real shit. It's the real,
and everything else is like performing or something. Or
you know, if you're doing something else, that ain't it. That's not the thing. That's not the
so
popping
when you
thing.
know, for Tetris to see Junior, I think, and for you to see Andre and be like, nope. You guys enjoy that. Like, that's great.
Sure.
I'm glad you guys like that so much. I mean, this.
I don't know what it is about me. I don't know if, you know, if it has anything to do with the way I was raised or just something inherent in me, but I always had that intuition, or that it's almost like I had an aversion to what was like cool, or what you're supposed to do, or, you know, like I played sports all growing up, and I didn't love team sports. I didn't love having to be like a pawn, or, you know, have this cog in the machine. Yeah, exactly. And when I found track and field, and I found the individuality in that, and then it was this thing that no one knew anything about. I didn't have any friends or family. My dad didn't know anything about it. Nobody knew how to tell me how to do this thing. And it was like, I just ran with that, because that was it was different.
Freedom. Yeah.
It was different. There was freedom in there. There was, you know, it's back to like the fear thing. There's lowered expectations. Nobody knows what the heck I'm doing. Like nobody knows like how high is it to like be a good high jumper. They don't, you know.
Yeah,
so,
right.
So I think I was looking for that within street dance. You know what I mean? I think I was like kind of looking for something like that. And I just, man, I got to tell you, like, I'm just massively grateful for the fact that it all fell into line, and like my just kind of my true nature aligned with, you know, that spark of inspiration and my physiology. And it just, the timing, it all just kind of fell, into line. And I was looking for that and exploring for that, but a lot of people look for that for their whole lives and never find that. You know?
I was actually thinking that as you were saying that. I have so many friends from high school and college that, in their own ways, or they express this sort of like envy that like, wow, you have this thing you're like so passionate about. Like that's, I wish I had a thing.
It's really special. It's really special. It's easy to take for granted. Yeah. And you know, like both of us were really grateful. I mean, we're not. I don't know if you're grateful or not, but we're
so grateful. Like, I'm very off the charts grateful.
We're very lucky, you know, the timing, just everything about it.
And to be embraced by a culture that's not ours, right? Like, we're American and everything, but like the black culture, the, you know, brown and black culture that embrace, like let us be a part of it, is like, that's amazing too. That, you know, it's like, that's like if you go to China and they're like, okay, come on in, we'll you know, come learn from us, and you're like, oh my god.
And you take that for granted too, just from a cultural perspective, because like the U.S., we're like, oh come in. Yeah, you go to another country where it's like, you know, China's a perfect example of that. Like if you're from somewhere else, like they're like, what like
Yeah.
what are you doing here? You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like why are you here?
Yeah. What's
And
your,
I dealt with
what's
that
your
with
angle?
popping.
Sure.
For
Yeah.
sure.
For sure. For sure.
And not for nothing, like I had to pay my dues, like no question. But the fact that I was even able to have that opportunity
Yeah. To pay dues.
to
Exactly.
pay dues and to earn respect,
Exactly.
I'm like forever grateful for that, you know?
And Andre, you know, to get back to like you seeing him a year later, I know that like it being, we'll just say like a fly on the wall of
Yeah.
this evolution, like Andre saw something in him before I think he saw anything in himself of like what he could become. And, you know, yeah.
Yeah, well, Andre, you know, he operates from some sort of like samurai code. I mean, I don't know. I haven't deciphered the whole code, but it definitely, some of it comes from like martial arts. And so it does.
And he has it. You want to go.
That's where I
Okay.
wanted to go
good.
back, and I
Yeah.
wanted to get to the
Good.
fast twitch muscle
Good.
fibers.
Love it. I love it. We're
I wanted to
touching
get
on
to
all of
that.
it.
Yeah, I'm
yeah,
going to get to that. But yeah,
Yeah.
so when he saw me and he saw that I had put in the work,
Yeah.
that, you know, for this past year, like I took what I saw and I used it and I trained and
I'm Tabot.
me and
was
Tabot.
helping? Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah,
Me
yeah.
and Tabot, you know, and you know, we all have and tell our own story. And my story with Tabot is that Tabot's like definitely no question one of my biggest influences. And he's, I mean, I always called him Yoda. You know, he's Yoda to me. And
Yeah.
but there's a definite
Yeah.
there's a definite like aspect of our relationship, not aspect, but essentially like, you know, a lot of the times we were trying to figure out Dre like together.
Yeah.
Like he knew stuff that I didn't know, but then I brought a new perspective on like what the hell this guy was doing. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
And like we were just that was like, dude, literally 90% of the time I spent with Tabot was trying to figure out what Dre was doing.
Yeah.
Because Dre, dude, there was no classes back then. You know the deal. Like
Yeah,
nobody was
no
and a
classes,
lot of the OGs
none.
didn't want to teach. Like
Yeah.
they just didn't want to share. They didn't
Yeah.
know why. They didn't know
Yeah.
why you were trying to learn their style or what was
Yeah.
going on, and maybe they thought, you know, they're still holding out for something, you know.
Yeah.
When at the time there was
Yeah.
nothing.
Yeah. So I've said this also too. Another interesting thing about our generation is that all of us, one of the main things I think
The
that
luckiest
bonds
part
us,
of our generation, I
is
think.
is that there was no reason for any of us to do this.
There was
no
no-
opportunity. There was literally no opportunities.
Not a dime
Yeah.
to be made.
Yeah.
We all dropped everything in our lives
Yeah.
and dedicated everything to getting into this underground street dance where like
Just
there's
to be dope.
just to be fucking dope. Just to, for me, like I saw Dre, he blew my fucking mind.
Yeah.
I want to do that.
Yeah.
I want to blow people's minds. I want people to like literally think I'm a real robot. Like I want that, like the feeling you get when you see that and you're just like when Flat Top literally looks like a flip book and you're just like, and he's doing the facials and then he like comes back to something else and just that visceral like out of body experience you get when you see these guys. You know, that for me was the driving force for the whole thing. But yeah, so back to that event. God, I think it was like Tokyo Beat. I swear to God, I think it was Tokyo Beat or
Wow.
it was there in
That
Little
arena,
Tokyo.
yeah.
Yeah, where it's like that was nothing for forever and now it's like that area is popping.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that's
yeah,
the
yeah.
spot to be now.
Yeah.
There was some little event there. I don't know what it was. We're coming outside. Tabot is like, "Oh, Andre's leaving. You got to talk to him. You got to talk to him." Tabot is like, what I love about Tabot is he's very like, he shares. He's just,
Oh, it's amazing.
and he's so like, he doesn't hold back information, but he'll tell you if you're fucking whack. He'll tell you immediately. He'll just be like, "Oh no, that's offbeat," or no, like this, and like, so he felt like I was ready to show myself to Dre. He felt like my product was
Yeah.
polished enough to
Yeah.
like present to the master. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I didn't think so. I
Sure.
was like, no. Like, dude, like, just let him leave. And he was like, he yelled to him and like stopped him and like made him watch me. And I'm all nervous and I like got down, whatever. And he was like, "Oh, it's good, you know." And his reaction was essentially like, he said something to the extent of, you know, like no one's ever picked up what I do, like separate from me.
Yeah.
No one's ever like picked up what you've picked up
Yeah.
without being taught directly. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
At least to that extent, to where I was. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And so he's immediately cool with me. He was immediately like, we were cool. But then, you know, I had to earn the right to like hang out with him. You know what I mean? So that's a whole nother thing for the longer interview.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, that was my like intro to hanging out with Bopp and Andre. Was I had to demonstrate my technique to be worthy to be able to hang out with him, essentially. And then we started hanging out. There's a little bit more to that story, but essentially, you know, he lived in San Bernardino. I'd go pick him up. I'd take him places. I already, at that time, I already had hookups with a bunch of clubs and stuff like that. And just, you know, that's one of those like realms and areas where no question, like white privilege is a thing. And maybe not even white privilege, but like handsome
Yeah.
or, you know, beauty privilege.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
the way I looked,
Yeah.
even though I wasn't 21, I could get into all these clubs that were like hard to get into.
Yeah.
And I didn't have to have girls with me. It
Yeah.
was just, I could get down.
Yeah.
I looked a certain way.
Yeah.
It was just a thing, you know?
Yeah.
And kind of without even thinking of it, it just wasn't even a question. I'm not going to say like, oh, I'm colorblind or whatever. Like,
Sure. Yeah.
we're different, you know,
Yeah.
people are different. Like
Yeah.
I see like
Man.
Bopp and Andre's from South Central, you know, like he grew up in the hood. Like I grew up in suburbia. The first place I grew up was a little hood, but then I moved to like a nicer area. It's just like,
Yeah.
we're not the same.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
different.
Right. Right.
And we have different like places that we can go and
Yeah.
be
There's a
accepted.
beautiful
And
odd couple aspect
yes.
to your
Oh my God.
relationship.
It was,
And I want to say again, as a fly on the wall kind of person, the relationship between Andre and Chad is extremely authentic and genuine. Like it's like he's saying in a
there's no,
lineage
yeah.
sense. They're really that is for me that is how their relationship feels, to be around the two of them together.
Other than the logistics of, you know, me respectfully offering to go pick him up and buy food, and where I was going with the story before is
Yeah.
like I got him into clubs,
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
and that's where he wants to be. That's where
That
Bopp
is
and
where he-
Andre
that is where-
thrives,
yeah,
man.
For sure.
And you know, I didn't really know that, but I was like, you know,
Yeah, I
oh
didn't know
hey,
that
what do you
either.
want to do? You know
Yeah.
what? Like he's like, oh, you know, maybe we'll go to Hollywood or whatever. I was like, oh, I can get us into this club, Hollywood and Highland. Like I
Yeah.
know the doorman
Yeah.
and whatever.
Highlands, yeah.
And he kind of did too, but he just didn't. He didn't have that mobility that I had
Yeah.
due to the like who I was and how I looked.
Sure.
And so that was like a huge, you know, value to him.
Value add.
Yeah, and I mean, I didn't really know. Again, like I'm saying, I wasn't necessarily. It wasn't like, oh, you know, I don't see color. It was just like, this guy's awesome. I want to take him to cool places. That was pretty much it, you know. So
Definitely.
I took him to a bunch of clubs and stuff. And
Yeah, it's only in retrospect, I think, because of what, you know, everything that's happened in the culture, that you look back and you
Sure.
then examine these things through lenses
Oh,
like
yeah.
color and privilege and
Oh, yeah.
so on. Yeah.
Yeah. And Bopp and Andre would joke about how I looked and
Yeah.
my skin color
Yeah.
and everything, but there was never a question of like me having to go above and beyond to prove my like authenticity or my skill
Sure.
or whatever. He saw that I had potential.
He saw
He was down.
Bopp and Andre had dollar signs in his eyes, frankly.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
Yeah, very, very possible. He's
He's
money minded, no
he's
question.
money-minded.
But yeah, I mean, we just started hanging out, you know. That was a huge value add to him for me to be able to like, just the fact that I went out of my way to get him to shake hands with like club owners and stuff like that. He really, that meant a lot to him. Like he
Yeah.
said to me very early on in our relationship, like nobody's ever done that for me. Nobody's ever taken me to this guy and like shopped me around. Like, and I wasn't saying like, oh, hey, he's good. Like check him out. I was like, that's the reason I dance.
Yeah.
That's the baddest motherfucker on the planet right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
You better
Yeah.
recognize, like you better understand, like
Yeah.
you like what I do.
Yeah.
And a lot of those people would be like later on they'd be like, nah, Chad, you're the one, like
Yeah.
because to them
Yeah.
that's our relationship, and
Yes,
that they had seen
totally.
me, and that's like what they wanted to. That's their story that they wanted to tell. That's
Yeah.
their narrative.
Yeah.
But I was going out of my way to make sure everybody knew like how I felt about Bopp and Andre and his like the reason I did what I did.
Right.
And that meant so much to him. So with that, I was able to hang out with Bopp and Andre a lot. Like it just whatever he was doing stuff that had nothing to do with popping. Like 90% of the time, hanging out with Boppin Andre had nothing to do with popping. And one of the things that would keep coming up would be martial arts. It would keep popping up. He'd talk about, karate and competing and being Jim Brown. God, I forget his name. There's a famous martial artist, like the first black
who had a
African American
dojo
martial
in
artist.
LA.
Yeah, kind of near where you live.
Yeah.
Kind of in this area,
Yeah.
somewhere around here. And he was at Jim
I'm gonna
Kelly.
look it up. I'm gonna look it up.
Jim
You
Kelly.
keep talking, and I'll
Yeah,
find it.
so he was in Enter the Dragon, and he taught Bruce Lee some stuff. I think boxing techniques more than anything else. But Boppin Andre was like one of his proteges, and he used to tell me this stuff all the time about, I don't know, Beauchagard. He would talk about Beauchagard, and still to this day. Jim Kelly, yeah, I got it. Yeah. Beauchagard. Still to this day, I go to look it up, and I can't. It's a Chinese martial art. I know it's different than like wushu or taekwondo or something. It's very there's a lot of internal nature to it. There's a lot of power, and that's where kind of like this idea of the 1-inch punch and Dre never talked to me about like chi blasts or any of that kind of the magical stuff. It wasn't about that. It was about a close quarters combat, short and sweet and fast and explosive fighting style. And he would show me stuff. I didn't care about martial arts at that time. I wanted to hit harder than anyone on the planet. I wanted to be the most unreal dancer of all time. Like, I just wanted to be mechanical monster. That's what I wanted to be. So I was around him for that. But he would talk about martial arts. He'd talk about, building credit and business and club promotions and how to get girls and all this stuff. And I was just like, cool. When's the popping stuff gonna happen? When's the robot animated? What's the bopping stuff gonna happen? But I didn't say that to him. I just hung out, and it was just a thing. And I was like, very much, he was a mentor to me in many ways. And he's just such a smart, intelligent guy and had such a different take on so many different things.
Yeah, I mean, he influenced both of our thinking as people a lot. He's an incredibly unorthodox thinker and extremely intelligent in a very like what did you just say?
He's like an idiot savant.
And you like think about it, and because he has a lot of ideas that I've never heard anywhere else, and I because of that I'm immediately like suspicious of them, but they kind of like stick in your head.
Yeah, I mean it really, like, that part of my brain that, the counterculture kind of chaos theory, like kind of part of my brain just immediately latched onto him. And I didn't believe everything he said, but I was just interested in his perspective. Yeah. I was like, oh, like he had a whole system for building credit. Yeah. And it works. Yeah. It worked. I did it. It works. You could really mess it up.
Sure.
I know people who did that too.
Sure.
But I like too. Mine, like for me, it worked beautifully, and I used it the way he told me, and I was like kind of blown away by the fact that I could build credit so quick and like get loans and get apartments and cars and all this stuff, and not in a sketchy way. Yeah. Like, which seemed like kind of a sketchy way because nobody does it. You're like, wait, that's got to be weird. You're not supposed to be able to like open up multiple bank accounts and then like move money around and like, whatever. Sure. There's more to it than that, but that's kind of the gist, And I was like, what is that? And then he would talk about martial arts a lot, and he taught me a couple things. And I think that's sort of when I started to understand the difference between my physiology and his physiology, and where my strengths lie and where they don't, and where hit, you know what I mean? Like the stuff, like I can't hit like Boppin Andre because he can move quicker than me. And for a long time, like it was like a slow seepage that, it slowly seeped in. And I was kind of like, oh, I'll never be able to necessarily bop the same way he does. Like the way he moves his chest, like in like a flutter, like I can't move mine that quick. I've trained enough. I've practiced enough. I know from experience, like you get to a point where there's just this diminishing returns. Like you've put enough work into it and you're like, I need to move on to something else now. So I developed my hit using different techniques than he used based on my physiology. But a couple times that became just massively clear. And I think one of the first times was when I was flying to Boston with him. For the first time, he brought me out there to teach a workshop with him. And that was one of those nights we're chilling at the Kester Hostel. We're at the pad, and he's literally just like, hey, you want to come to Boston with me? Our flight leaves in 3 hours. And I was like, yes, absolutely. Why not? Like, and he pitched me to these guys, and, you know, they were like, okay, like, we bring whoever you want. And by this point, we're on the flight. We haven't, neither of us have slept for like 3 days or something. I don't know what. Like, I start passing out, and I'm like kind of in this delirium state. And for whatever reason, like, Boppin Andre's finger tutting. He's over there finger tutting, like kind of next to me, and I'm kind of falling asleep. And the speed and intricacy that he was moving his fingers, like, I'd never seen anything like that before. Like, it was different than seeing him as a machine and questioning, like, how, like, where's the hit coming from and how is he doing that? Is he a real robot? This was just like more like I had that eye-opening experience of, I tapped into my knowledge of how the body works and how fast your hands can move, and it flipped my idea of how quick and how explosive you could be. It just flipped it on his head. Like, I didn't know. And at the same time, I didn't know he could like finger tut and stuff. And he had this like articulation with his hands that was just like so extreme. And I never seen him do it again. But it was just so next level that it really, like, I was falling asleep, and I woke up, you know, and was like wide awake and just super like alert at that point. And I'm watching him, and I just really was like setting in to me, like, what kind of genetic anomaly he is. You know what I mean? And then that same trip, we get to Boston. Okay, so we went to Boston twice, and I don't know if it was the first time we went or the second time. But we're there. We're at a dance studio. He's doing he does this demo of like 3 punches to demonstrate his speed. And it's kind of like a parlor trick. It's kind of like it's a gimmick, you know. But inside the gimmick is some true magic, you know. There's some real physical next level shit that's going on in there that just, you know, no one else can do. So he's there demonstrating this thing. There's some guy there who I want to say he was a Korean. I think he was Korean, but he was a martial artist. Super into it, like dedicated his whole life to martial arts. And he sees him doing this demonstration, and then they kind of get into it. And he's like, you know, showing his hand speed and whatever. And they go back and forth for a period of time to the point where this guy's like, he's like not believing what he's seeing. He's like, he has to call somebody. He leaves, he makes a phone call, and I'm like, I'm thinking nothing of it, but I'm just you know, observing all this stuff, seeing like, I'm like, wow, Boppin Andre is like really tripping out this guy who's like a martial artist, like a lifelong, like dedicated martial artist. This guy leaves. He comes back with like 2 or 3. It was 3 guys, but 2 of them were like OG Chinese martial artists, like super OG, and they flip out. They're like, oh my God, Diamond. Like, oh, like, I'm like, what? What's happening? Like, what do you guys know him? Like, dude, I come to find out, like, all these stories that he's been talking about of him, like, going and competing in China and, like, almost making the Olympic team and, like, being a champion, and, like, it's all true. And these guys who are, like, also lifelong martial artists, like, in China, and, like, point fighters, and, like, you know, everything's evolved now to, like, MMA. Yeah. But, like, point, like, fighting karate was, like, the top of the heap as far as, like, definitely Asian martial arts. You know what I mean? Like American boxing. Yeah. Like, okay, like boxers are badass, wrestlers are badass, but like those Western martial arts, it's you know, they don't have that same level of like respect and class, and like, you know, there's like Chinese martial arts, like it's kind of the epitome of
gold
like
standard.
Yeah, it's the gold standard. It's the best. They're the best of the best, you know. Shaolin monks. Yeah. So he blows this guy away. He goes and gets these other guys, and they're like losing their minds over the fact that he's there, and like, so I'm like,
So wait, I want
So
to
he was-
jump in quickly and say one of the things with a lot of these really legendary OGs, and Andre might be example number one, is that they throw out these kind of things that you would think the way you would say it would be like, okay, I need you to sit down and really prepare your mind for what I'm about
Yeah.
to tell you, because you're probably not going to believe this because it's so
Yes.
crazy
yes.
that
Okay, let me preface this.
yeah.
You know,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
I know
But
this
then
is gonna
they,
be
they
weird,
just say
like,
it. They just say it as though it's like,
Yeah.
like, what do you want? What do you want to
Like,
go
I
get
taught
fast
Bruce
food?
Lee.
Yeah, yeah.
or something like that. You know,
Yeah.
like Dre would say something like that. I don't know if he said that specifically, but like,
Yeah,
you know, Bruce Lee's like partner taught me.
yeah,
Like I was his number one student or what. Like that was something that Dre would
yeah.
say. Like
Yeah.
like the guy that taught Bruce Lee how to box like was my teacher, and I was his best student. And I'd hear this all the time, and I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah,
Like, come
great,
on, man,
great.
awesome. Like,
Robot,
yeah,
bopping.
yeah. Do some of that other stuff. Like,
Because there's no evidence of it, like, you know, in the context that we're meeting these people, but also really it has so much to do with the way that they just throw it out.
so yeah, okay.
Yeah, so go on. Yeah.
So that trip to Boston was very eye-opening for me because I saw Boppin Andre in his showman element, you know? And I'd seen him at clubs and stuff, but that's a different element. He's a clown, right? But I saw him in his alpha element, and I saw him demonstrating martial arts to people who were challenging him. Like Fidesz challenged him. Him and Fidesz like sparred, like legitimately like sparred.
Mm-hmm. For anybody that doesn't know, Fidesz is like a very strong, big black guy.
He is a Ninja Turtle.
Yeah,
He is built
that's
like
fair.
a goddamn Ninja Turtle. That's what he looks like.
Yeah.
He's like a 6'5" Ninja Turtle.
Yeah.
6'5" black Ninja Turtle with like 20-inch arms,
Yeah.
and like he's just crazy.
Yeah.
And he's super into martial arts, and like, you know, dude, when we landed out there, they got us from the airport. And like Fidesz is just he's a battler, man. Like that's his whole he's a warrior.
Yeah.
Like he started like talking shit immediately, and like it was just like, and I had to battle him like literally straight. They picked us up from the airport. We went straight to like some bar, and like to defend Dre's honor, like I had to battle him like 8 rounds. Like it was like because he started talking a certain way to Dre, you know. And like I got this, Dre. Like I'm gonna handle this situation. Not like a smoke Fidesz or anything, but we
Yeah,
just
sure.
you know,
Yeah.
and everything was cool. But yeah, they got into it on martial arts, and that the hands, you know, the stuff he was doing on the plane,
Yeah.
and seeing him demonstrate martial arts, not just the little hand parlor trick that he does, but like actually like blocking kicks and like checking leg kicks and showing you where he could attack but not finishing the attack.
Uh-huh.
Like slipping a punch and being there with an elbow, like, and just going like, oh damn, like he could have knocked him out. Like easy.
Yeah.
Easy. Just, and this is off like straight off a plane, not sleeping for 3 days, like everything. And yeah, that trip to Boston is where I really like, I started to use to put the pieces together and kind of blend the two worlds, my history with track and field and training for sports, and you know the physiological aspect of what we do, you know. And that's where I kind of like I really started to double down on what my strengths were, you know what I mean, and sort of tried to not battle uphill too much, you know, not swim upstream too much with like what I'm naturally predisposed to be good at. Yeah, and one of those things is just like the fast twitch muscle fiber ratio, and I'd never seen anybody that could move that fast. I mean, my opinion was when I saw Dre, and I kept seeing it over and over, and then I would ask him more about it, and then we would talk about it, and then we would play different like hand-eye coordination, but more like speed test games. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I started to see that he was like, you know, in my bubble, he was unbeatable.
Yeah.
untouchable,
Yeah.
not just unbeatable, like the slap game where you put your hands together
Yeah.
and, you know, somebody has their hands down at their side and you put your hands out here like this and they try to slap your hands. Like nobody could touch his hands and he could slap just 2 slaps and that people would give up. They can't play anymore because their hand is just obliterated. You know what I mean? It's like swelling now, like that, like his hand speed. And I'm like, oh, that's that smaller vibration. That's that next speed, that next gear that I'm missing, that a lot of people are missing. And I've seen it a couple times. I've seen a hint of that gear, you know, in other people. And I'm like, oh,
I see a hint of it when you've been talking. I see a hint of it in Slim.
totally. Now I don't know. I haven't like analyzed and
sure.
sat down and gone,
Yeah.
oh, here's what you can do,
Yeah,
and here's what
yeah,
he can do.
yeah.
You know, Boppin Andre can do it with every part of his body.
Yeah.
He can move his entire upper torso
Yeah.
probably as fast or faster than I can move my hand, right? And so the way I can move my hand, but then I have something Dre doesn't have.
Uh-huh.
A couple things that
Yeah.
he doesn't have.
Yeah.
I have, and I don't know if it's either my physiology, something I was born with, or what. I think a lot of how we, some of our best techniques and how we dance and some of the things that we utilize, I think a lot of it comes from the order in which we learned what we learned, or the order in which we mastered certain techniques or certain elements, or got a certain level of, like, you know, technical prowess with certain elements essentially. And so for me, like, I trained robot first. I didn't know how Dre hit. I didn't know how a popper hit. I saw Dre that one time. I saw the way his entire body shaked. Sorry. The way his entire body shook. I promise I know the difference. And I sat there in my apartment. I sat in front of my mirror and I tried to recreate that. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I kind of did some of this and some of that and one of these and did some stuff. And eventually I found this shake. Had nothing to do with a tremor. It had nothing to do with snapping my knees back, dropping my shoulders, flexing my pecs, shooting my tricep out, flexing my neck. It didn't have anything to do with any of those things. It was something with my solar plexus that I just figured out. And in my mind, it was like back to the 1-inch punch.
Yeah.
We hadn't talked about martial arts with Boppin Andre or anything. I hadn't. But to me, it was like that. It was like this explosive 1-inch punch. My point is that I use different technique to create the same effect because I have different physiology. I don't think Boppin Andre can hit the same way I do, just like I can't hit the same way he does. I don't think he has as clean of a no tremor, no shake, dime stop as I do. You know what I mean? That's one of my things. Like,
Yep.
I got that down. And again, I don't know if it's what I trained in the order or if it's just something inherent in me. I don't know. But I think it's, you know, imperative and very important for us to explore those things and find out what they are and what they aren't, because it makes our job a lot easier. You know?
Yeah, and I feel like I started scratching the surface of this with Pop and John, of, like, you know, him being at first like wanting to learn Boogaloo, and it just wasn't coming in the way that he envisioned, you know, it coming, and then he switched to this other thing, and all of a sudden it took off. Yeah. And I think that there's a lot of truth in that.
I think this is a good. I think it's in this idea or this concept. I think this is one of the reasons, like, footage is very important. It was always a hugely important tool for me, and not just the mirror. There's something lost in the mirror. I don't really know what it is. I think sometimes, like, especially with hitting, when your body shakes, you can't see the shake. You know what I mean? So I really, like, footage was a big thing for me. And it wasn't until I started recording myself, and I didn't do it every day, but when I would I would start kind of checking in, seeing, like, what I was up to. And when I started learning some kind of, like, boog elements and trying to be a little groovy, you pulled up that clip of Boppin Andres.
Yeah.
He did like a
The
workshop
instructional.
the instructional for Dance Delight.
Yeah.
I wanted to say Monsters of Hip Hop or something, but
Sure.
they had something like that in
Yeah.
Japan.
Sure.
Dance Delight. And you see, like, I'm getting down there, and I'm like, I'm kind of trying to dance like Taco a little bit.
It looks pretty good.
It's okay, but when I saw it, I didn't like it. It wasn't how I wanted to dance.
Ah, interesting.
And so beyond just the idea of, what's easy or what's not easy or what you're predisposed to being good at, I think it's also about like what you want your dance to look like. What's the overall bigger picture of what, and this goes to visualization. The idea of, thinking about doing it versus actually doing it. Well, you don't know what your dance, you can't actually do it because you don't know what it's going to look like. Me personally, I spent a lot of time thinking about what I wanted the overall picture to be and what I wanted my dance to look like, just overall, what I wanted the audience to see. And when I saw footage of myself doing some of those other elements, it took me a while to figure out, but I think like mostly just came down to I just didn't like it. I just didn't like the way it looked.
And I think that you know what, actually, because right before we started this, I was talking with Chad about, again, to go back to reference the Pop and John conversation, the idea that like the secret sauce behind Pop and John is like his ability to know what translates to an audience. And we were talking about like what Chad's might be. I actually think that might be your thing, man, is that you actually have an idea of what you want your dance to look like. I actually don't think there's anybody else I can think of that has that clearly,
That
because if I like I think I'm being influenced just as I hear what you're saying, but before, if I saw that footage of myself like looking like Taco, let's say, I would be like, yeah, it looks good. And the level of analysis would end there because the intention was just like
to look
good,
right?
Whatever, however it gets there, whatever. So for you to have an analysis like beyond that, like, no, I don't just want to look good. Like I want to look unreal.
Yeah, I've always been a very like introspective dancer, and I spent a lot of time just kind of not literally meditating, but meditating on like what I wanted to do and where I wanted to go with it. And, there is a version of like Taco in there.
Yeah.
There is a version of Dre in there. There is Flat Top in there, but maybe as much or more is, the gorilla at Rainforest Cafe or RoboCop 2, like the RoboCop 2 version of RoboCop in the movie RoboCop 2. Like I have specific images in my head of what I want the whole thing to represent and what I want the viewer to perceive. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's super interesting.
And it changes, obviously.
Yeah.
It's always evolving
but
and
that's
morphing.
That's what we were always taught, that. And this was always, actually, to be honest, this was always the challenge that I experienced with animating, was that the way we were taught was like, you look at the Ray Harryhausen movies and there are these characters and then you imitate them. And I could only ever do like a half-hearted attempt at best because that didn't move me that much. I was like, I don't know why I want to look like Medusa. That's not a huge goal.
It moved them,
right? Exactly.
It makes so much sense to me because I know my dad's perspective on it. Because I watched these movies growing up with my dad, and his thing was like he was a kid, when some of these movies came out, and he thought it was real.
Yeah.
He thought Medusa was real, and it like freaked him out, But there was something about the claymation that was like otherworldly, and it added to that. It added to the effect, and I think. This is where, I truly believe that popping and strutting and animation and robot and all these things, I truly believe that there is an aspect of them that is multicultural. Meaning, I'll say, Robert Shields is a perfect example.
Sure.
Robert Shields may be the most influential person in the underground dance scene, period. He's a white dude. He's from North Hollywood. You know what I mean? He moved to the Bay Area, and I'm not saying it's a white dance. That's not my point
at all.
whatsoever.
Yeah.
My point is that there's a multicultural aspect, but I think the thing that like black people or African Americans brought to the table more so than anything else is their creativity to see these claymation movies and go like, I want to move like that. I want to move like Bugs Bunny. I want to move. I don't know if it's like specific to their culture, but
Bugs
it's
Bunny
definitely.
I'm sure most people aren't going to know this. There's a tutting thing with Bugs Bunny.
Angelo.
Yeah. Well, also just the cartoon. There's a specific
Egyptian
Bugs Bunny cartoon where he
gets
morphs
electrocuted.
in between,
He's standing in front of. He's trying to blend in. Somebody's coming after him. He's trying to blend in. He jumps up on a sign.
Yeah.
And there's a Egyptian, hieroglyphic up there, and he gets electrocuted.
Yeah.
And then he comes out, he starts tutting, and it's all animated.
Yeah.
And he hits all these weird, trippy angles.
And because it's animation, he morphs between the angles.
Yes.
So rather than it being an isolated thing, it's like
he's not moving robotically
between these different positions.
Yeah, it's
and
like
poses.
between them he's electricity, and then he hits the poses. But yeah, I mean, I think.
But that's super interesting because I do think if there's one critique I have about the way that we were all taught, it's that I feel like we were taught the how more than we were taught the why.
Well, I have a.
And when I hear you say that about animation, like nothing about the way I was ever taught anything made me try to go back in my own memory and go, what inspired me? Like, when I was a kid, like, what did I want to be like, you know?
And I don't know. I can't tell you if I'm sure part of my ego wants me to believe that it's all my own doing.
Sure.
But there might be a little bit of some OG wisdom in there directing me to find my own inspiration. I mean, I know Boppin Andre always, his thing with me was he didn't want me to dance like him. He didn't want me to dance exactly like him, and that was part of the OG message that I got from a bunch of people. Flat Top, Boppin Andre, who's another one? Taboo, definitely.
Taboo.
Wavo.
I think one of the most amazing things about Taboo is that half his students are boogaloo dancers, and he doesn't really care about boogaloo at all.
Yeah, he just cares about creating monsters. That's what he cares about. So he tells them whatever he has to tell them to get awesome. But yeah, one of the things that, again, I think it was a combination. I think it was my nature combined with being around OGs who.
I don't know, man. Based on this conversation, if I had to, bet, I would bet that it has way more to do with you because I have all the same teachers you have.
But
maybe
again,
not as the same level of depth.
But again, maybe like, kind of how I was drawn to Andre because of, we shared a similar mentality.
Yeah.
I think it's like I latched on to that idea of being original, of doing my own research, doing my own recon, finding my own inspirations outside of these guys so I don't look exactly like them. And I actively did that. That was like, I went into my favorite old movies. Yeah. I brought them out. I found the VHS. I downloaded movies.
I brought a camcorder to Gorilla,
to everywhere,
to Rainforest Cafe,
everywhere.
Disneyland.
And my compass was the way it made me feel. It was that feeling. Oh, I like the way that Gorilla makes it.
That
feels
is so weird.
Crunchy.
Wait, this is the trippiest. This may be the trippiest moment of the entire history of Tick Tick Pop. Is that the guy who is the best at the robot may be the best at the robot because he's the most in touch with his feelings. That is the most paradoxical
it's acting.
thing I've ever thought because you had to really decide, and not decide. Decide's actually the wrong word. Like uncover what you
had to be in touch to what
felt. Simple as that.
Yeah, and it's funny, man. I'll tell you, like popping, dancing, it's the first thing that ever connected me to anything deeper within myself. You know what I mean? It was the first thing that really I was like, oh, I'm an artist. Like I'm
totally
I feel something.
Smoke and I talked about that a lot.
Yeah.
That both of us were like, dude, we could have just ended up like math nerd, like super brainy, like almost like bordering on autistic. Like
I was either
just
going
don't know
to
how
be,
to deal with people.
Yeah, the easy, like kind of the lazy route was going to be not. No offense to physical therapists whatsoever. They do amazing things and amazing work. And, you know, for me, that was going to be like, that was my backup, was I could be a physical therapist because I was really into sports and I was really into the way the body works. That was a huge passion of mine.
Yeah.
I studied physiological science at UCLA. That was kind of the backup. If I can't become an orthopedic surgeon, I will be a physical therapist. And in hindsight, I'm like, there's no way. Like, now that I know what I know about, you know, this deeper connection, like to I'm not a very spiritual person, but this is my,
You're
like,
more spiritual than you lead on.
I guess,
Yeah.
Probably. But a lot of it, you know, I think a lot of it has to do with the robot.
Yeah, I love it. It's
like, it has
I
to do with the
love it.
robot. And
I
now,
love it so
like,
much.
like
It's so
today,
weird. Yeah.
today I so deeply and like strongly believe that popping, especially the type of stuff that I do, bopping and robot and everything, is acting. And I said that, you said, you know, the guy who's the best at the robot is the most in touch with their feelings. And I said, it's acting. I didn't mean that I was pretending.
No, sure.
What I mean is that, like, real actors know this, like people who've studied acting. Acting is feeling.
Yeah.
Like, you build that character and you become that character and you feel what they feel. When I'm roboting, I feel like a robot. Like, part of me becomes that crunchy, shitty animatronics from Rainforest Cafe. Like, that's, like, I feel it. Just talking about it, I can feel it in my bones. I can feel it in my sinew, kind of like gets my cells change. You know what I mean? And like, I kind of get fired up. And I mean, that's a huge aspect for me. And that's one of the things that I try to, you know, that's one of the biggest pieces of advice that I try to give, like, you know, new school kids or people who are asking me questions, even peers, if they're trying to get inspired, they want to, you know, people say this all the time. I want to do robot. I want to do robot. My initial, like, I guess kind of like defensive response in my head, at least, or is like, then just do it. Just do it. But there's more to it than that. You know, a lot of things fell into line for me personally. But one of the things I tell them is to, like, find things that inspire you. Find the way, you know, I like a lot of tutters. Like, I think about, like, in another life, I could have been a tutter. Just there's something about my brain that I have the patience to sit there and practice these techniques, but not to come up with choreography. I can come up with choreography. I'm actually a decent choreographer, but I have to be forced into it. It has to be, I have to know that this is going to be on the big screen, or we got to do this show and whatever. And then, like, under pressure, I come up with some decent stuff. But something about the way I work, like, I'm 100% freestyle dancer. And to get good, to get to the point of freestyling with tuts, you have to have combos. There's just no way around it. But I'd see, like, a Rube Goldberg machine and be like, oh my God, that's, and I would use some of those elements for myself. You know, this moves here and then that. Like,
and that's how these
that
new
hits
school
here
kids
and it
have
opens up,
super
and then that
innovated
this.
tutting.
Yeah.
They're like
it's
these
all that.
crazy Rube Goldberg
It's all that.
machines.
Yeah. Tetris was the first person I saw that I, like, attuned that to. You know what I mean? That
absolutely.
Made,
same.
you know,
Same.
You know, this rolls
No, I mean, this
over
night.
here,
I mean,
then
this
it
is
hits
one of the
this,
most.
and then goes
I actually
down,
had a
and-
night like you're talking about with Tetris, like going out to, like, San Bernardino or something, and Slim was there, and Kid Boogie and Johnny Five, and Tetris did like 1,000 hit combo. Like, it just didn't stop, and it was a time when this is probably 2005. His shoulder dime stops had gotten way better. Way better at
so
this
his
time.
tuts were the cleanest.
Yeah, they were
on the
so
planet.
sharp and clean, and it just didn't stop.
There was a point in time.
The machine just kept connecting, and it was like gradually. It's like, okay, this has to end after 20 or something, and it didn't stop ending. And like that thing that happens with some kinds of performances, the cumulative effect just gets
it keeps
each
stacking,
time it just gets
and it's
more,
like
this
times
can't-
3 like plus 10,000 points, like it's like the multiplier keeps increasing. It's like a combo. It's like
And it was like his whole style was a combo.
Capcom versus Marvel or something, 3, like, and they
yeah,
keep stacking,
yes,
and then
yeah.
next thing you know, you're dead. Like,
Yeah.
no, there was a point in time where Tetris was just,
I mean,
he
remember,
had distanced himself so far
Yeah.
from everyone else. Like,
Yeah.
he had,
Yeah.
because he had
Yeah.
these animated techniques,
Yeah.
and he had the creativity, and he had the angles, and he had musicality, and he had just everything was, and now it's so commonplace, and it's hard
That's
to
weird.
not like take for granted what
Yeah.
he was doing. You know what I mean? It's like, and that's one of the things that, like, we talked about this earlier, but like I said, I don't have that baseline confidence where I'm just like, I always feel like I have to prove myself. I always feel like I have to like even if I'm just standing there and I'm at an event, like, I feel people looking at me. I feel them like questioning whether or not like I deserve what I've gotten,
Yeah.
or whether I'm
Do
not.
you still have
Do I still
it?
have it? Am I
Yeah.
what they say I am? Whatever. I always.
Are you not dancing because you're
Yes.
scared, or you're
Yes.
not dancing because you're arrogant?
Yes.
Or you know, yeah.
So I always have that like just lack of self-confidence,
Sure.
that unsureness about myself. But the one thing, I am confident about, and I know about my path and my story and myself, and you said this about Tetris a lot,
Yeah.
and 100%
Yeah.
true with Tetris.
Yeah.
Like, nobody was doing what he was doing.
Yeah.
Nobody was doing what I was
Yeah.
doing at the time. Like,
Yeah.
nobody.
A-
And I'm not,
amen.
and of course Dre, and of course Flat Top.
Yes, in
and of
our
course
yes, in our
I'm talking about
generation.
as someone coming up. And I think that was also like back to the idea of being original and being different. To me, something that I always, was kind of looking for, and I was like, something that drove me was this idea of like, what can I bring to the table? What's different about me? What's my thing? You know what I mean? And that was a big driving force for me. And I think some of my OGs put that in my head too. But, and I do think, I mean, it's tough now. There's so much out there.
Yeah.
But I do think some of that is lost. I think there's a disconnect between, like, say for example, like you were talking about, kind of the Lot original crew,
Yeah.
or something, like, not necessarily like the real, like, here I am saying the real poppers.
Yeah. Sure.
No offense.
Yeah. No,
It's very ironic me saying that,
I know.
but it's just funny, there's a disconnect between the super just out there people who don't really care that much about the history, the technique, the everything, and then the people who like are all about it. There's that kind of, I'd like to see a little bit more crossover there, where there's,
Yeah,
You
I mean,
see it.
that's a huge part of the inspiration for this channel is like listening to people like J-Rock, especially, kind of like, oh, you kids are missing this, or something like that, and feeling like, okay, I feel my educational philosophy is that if the students aren't learning, it's the teacher's fault, not the student's fault. And so my intention is to like bring it to them in a way
Right.
that they can hear it through video,
Right.
online video and stuff, like things they're already doing. But I definitely I really hope that it's almost like the sins of the father don't revisit us, where we can, and Slim to me gets the most credit for this, can bridge the generations, so that
yeah, he's doing
we
it.
don't try to
Yeah.
hold them back, but we also do everything we can to give them the opportunity to engage in the parts of the history
Right.
that they resonate with, right? So like, just
Yeah.
as you know way more about the history of bopping than I do. I know
Right.
way more about the history of electric boogaloo than you do.
Absolutely.
And that is because those are what pulled us in.
Yeah. But
And
my
that's gonna be
question,
true of everyone. Yeah.
my question is not necessarily just to you, but to
Yeah.
everybody, is like, are those not the same dance? Are we, what I'd like to see, let me answer that
Yeah,
question,
okay.
and just essentially say that what I want and my vision for the future is that crossover, is that open, accepting culture where bopping and boogaloo live together. And they're,
This is
dude,
funny.
God,
We're such nerds.
bopping and boogaloo. please, let's have peace and harmony.
Yeah.
In the underground street dance scene.
Yeah, totally.
And it's happening. It's happening to an extent, but I just, man, that's what really, like, if there was one thing that like got under my skin and ruffled my feathers about the whole G-style shit, and that whole is like, it was so ancient to me, like that whole, the attack, the concept, the idea of me not being not popping, not dancing, like I got to wiggle my legs around more or something, or my hit isn't a pop. I don't know what I like. I'm like, what? Like I thought I was pretty damn sure that we had moved way past this territory, and like we like from everything I was seeing is that like those days were gone. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
And I guess I was a little bit ignorant, or
you know what it makes me think though? I think that LA, and I truly believe this at this point, this could come off as arrogant, lives in the future. Like absolutely. I know when I had a friend after I graduated college, one of my friends moved to London, and I saw her like a year later and asked her how it was, and she's like, it's really cool, but it feels like it's like 2 or 3 years behind America. When I come here, I'm like, they're kind of into things we were into a few years ago.
That's what makes it so hard to leave LA.
It is what makes it so hard to leave LA. It is that when I look around at trends and things that I see happening elsewhere, I'm like, oh, whoa. If you saw what was going on in LA, whoa. It's on some other shit. Like these, like I can't. Like for instance, I'll just give a very specific example because we were talking about this. I went to a party last night with some of the lot kids, and the way they were dancing made me feel like, okay, I have to incorporate some essence of what they're doing, because what they're doing feels so much more current and modern than what I'm doing. It doesn't mean I'm going to change my style and start dancing like them, but it's like there's a new thing happening. And
always.
Always, right. And
it's scary. It's constant, and it's like, I mean, that's definitely an LA thing, and I think it happens other places. I think the Bay is a huge one. You know, I think certain places in the South, obviously, you know, you've got Atlanta, you've got Memphis, those, you know, hot spots, Chicago, New York,
St. Louis.
Yeah, there's these like hot spots of just creativity and evolution that's just like this unstoppable force, and you better get on board or get out of the way, you know? It's like...
And in fact, maybe as a sort of like closing on this portion, that's one of the things we were talking to Andre about, you know, is that we have this real desire to take any amount of platform, I think is the best word for it, that we have, and like be like, dude, we're just us, like these like them. And
we're here because of them.
We're here completely 100%. We don't exist at all as you know us without them at all. Zero. And at the same time, that we can only go so far. They also have to come along into this new world of like online video, and where sharing what you have is the norm, and that's how you get likes and views and followers. Which is totally not by this hiding like street culture, rep the hood mentality I'm not dissing that mentality at all. It was super relevant at the time, but it's a different time now. And that like one of the inspirations that I take from that is to do my best to always stay current. Like I really like that I hang out with 20-year-olds, and because it's like, okay, I can see how I'm old, I can see how I'm wise, and I can see like what parts of that are genuinely new and worth exploring if I want to remain relevant and current.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think we're like, our generation specifically is you know, very lucky to have that insight and to see the difference between, not having these platforms and then now having these platforms, and being able to tell the difference between them and see how different, the way the mentality of the OGs is totally counterproductive to social media and just how it works. And we were talking about this last night, but essentially, a lot of my business and the way I support myself and support my family is through social media and online. And I find myself all the time constantly wanting to shout out Boppin Andre. And every time I get on the mic, every time somebody interviews me and we talk about it, that's the first thing I go to. But there's no recourse. Nobody can go find him and then follow him. And that has no value except for elevating his name in the teacher judge kind of world. That's the only thing. And that was I always made a point of that, because I did want to help Dre with that. You know what I mean? I did want to help Flat Top with that. But now it's on a whole nother level where I find myself constantly dude, I want to do a collab video with Boppin fucking Andre. That's my guy. That's why I do this. I want to do a collab with him. I want to get him 10,000 followers on Instagram. At least he deserves that, and to have that, even if he never made a dime with Instagram, he's going to be able to book more jobs. He's going to be able to do more judging, more teaching, more performances. He's going to be able to ask for a higher rate. He has more clout even beyond just his OG street cred.
Yeah, and the thing is, and I hope that Andre watches this whole thing based on what we're saying right now, is one of the things that I have really shockingly discovered is that OG street cred really does not go far at all with this young generation. I was hanging out with people last night that didn't know who Quincy Jones is. I was at USC with Sabella, who's a professor there, and his class that he was teaching, they didn't know who James Brown was. I mean, wow. So it's a wow kind of thing, but it's also.
But we can't be mad at them. It's
exactly.
Not, they're being bombarded with constant content and information 24/7.
Yeah.
And where's the time to go back?
Yeah.
Now, it's one of those things. Just like I was saying, we're lucky to have that perspective without, and now have it. So I know from doing research reports and stuff from before the internet. I see these articles on Facebook and whatever, and I'm like, what's going on with this? Let me actually dig a little deeper into this. Let me spend 5 minutes. And it's just a generational thing, I think. And it's just something people don't have time for that now. And some people, even though, it's they had without, they just quickly assimilated into this new system where they can't spend 5 seconds to do any research and find out anything about any of the stuff that's being thrown in their face.
Right. Unless you can just click from
Dude,
Boppin Andre tagged on
yeah.
by Maddchadd, and then
Yes.
you touch there, and now you're on Boppin Andre, and you're scrolling
it has
through.
to be as easy as possible. Like,
and
you
I
have
think
to
that
make it.
I think that the reality is that any kind of feeling about that other than acceptance is delusion.
Well,
It's just like, it's like maybe we should never have invented fire, and maybe the computer
Well, yeah, I mean, it's
is
like
no
the
good.
yeah,
and
it's like the argument about guns. Like, we have them.
Right.
We have them. Let's figure it out. Let's
Yeah.
figure out. We're gonna
Yeah.
keep them.
Yeah.
They're not going away. Like, you
Yeah.
can't make guns go away. We created them. We invented them. They're in mass production.
You can 3D
Let's
print
figure
them.
out how to make them work for us. You know, let's figure out how to make the internet benefit us and help us. And I mean, it is in so many ways, but then it's hurting us in so many ways as well. But yeah, it's all about that, like, that idea of accepting the evolution. And like, I'm so grateful to just have that perspective and have still to this day, like, I'm 35, but I still have an open enough mind, and I still believe I can figure things out enough. I know I'm not ever going to be like on the forefront of everything, but I feel like I'm humble enough to see it and go like, oh, that might work for me. You know what I mean? Or what's this new platform over here? Let me check this out. And like, have that, like, what are the kids doing? Like, they know something I don't know.
Clearly.
Like, there's something like that, like, as
Clearly.
like, I could say whatever I want about Ditto and like her skill level versus mine or whatever, but like, there's something she knows that I don't know. There's something she's doing that I can't do or I'm not doing. And so, like, why does she have, however many followers and the jobs she's booking and everything? It's not just that she's like, I'm good looking. Like, she's pretty. Like, there's a factor in there that maybe I'm not addressing, but like, there's also something that I'm not doing that she's doing. And I think we have to see that, and we have to be okay with that and be like, oh, that might be better in some ways. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. And another one right before we got on, we were talking about somebody that inspires both of us, Gary Vaynerchuk. And one of the ways that he is very inspiring to a lot of people is his attitude of like, yeah, it sucks. Nobody cares.
Work harder.
What are you going to do? What are you going to, like?
Nobody cares.
No,
especially now more than ever.
Yeah, exactly.
With the amount of shit that's out there.
Yeah.
I don't even know. Like, I thought I knew what the numbers were as far as how much is being uploaded to YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
And it's exploded 100 times since the last time I looked. It's
I remember when Elastic Illusion was like, it was like, oh my God, dude, there's an hour uploaded every minute. And now it's like there's a week uploaded every minute.
I'm sure it's changed.
Yeah.
I'm sure man. I felt like I was on the forefront as far as like, social media.
Yeah.
And I just, in hindsight, I'm like, ooh, like I dropped the ball, but I said, fuck it. I'm going to keep going. Like, I dropped the ball, pass me it again. Let's go.
Right.
Like, I dropped it. I fucked that play up. The coach took me out of the game.
Yeah.
I screwed it up. We lost that game. What can I do with the next game?
Right.
What's the next platform? What's the next, YouTube may not be my thing now.
Right.
Like, what's this other thing over here? And like, let me just get in there and participate. Maybe it's not my thing. Musically is not my thing. I tried to get into Musically. Mm-hmm. It's not my thing.
Yep.
I liked Vine when Vine was around.
Yep.
It's kind of difficult with the robot to have like a little 5 second.
Everybody looks like a robot when they're looping.
Well, that's Musically.
No, but I'm just saying the looping, like just even.
That's true. Yeah. That's
like
true.
Boomerang.
That's true. But I guess for me, it was more like I had to curate the stuff that I was putting up there so it wasn't super boring.
Yeah.
It had to be like a very hype section of my freestyle for it to like, get any traction on there.
Yeah. So.
We haven't looked at any clips of Boppin Andre.
We're gonna make a different video.
How far are we in?
1 hour 41 minutes. No, we're.
I had a
stuck.
feeling.
Yeah,
I had a feeling.
I did not have a feeling. So this is.
I had a feeling.
So we're gonna cut this and we're gonna move on to.
This was great though, man.
This was super great. Yeah.
I was like, I had anxiety around it. Like, what do we? But I mean, I knew if the one thing I knew. Is that we weren't going to have an issue finding stuff to talk about. That we weren't, that we weren't going to be.
No, you're on my short list, like with D-Soul and Poppin' John and Slim, of like super recurring guests, of like Eddie Bravo and
yes.
Like, they just like they're Brendan Schaub.
Do your research.
Yeah.
Look into it. Look into it.
That's what I need. I need to get. Maybe next time Tyson is here.
I don't know. Look into it.
We'll have to start doing conspiracy theory ones with Tyson.
I do kind of. There's something about that mentality. I'm not a conspiracy theorist.
Sure.
We can get into this more on another thing, but like I like that mentality of look into it.
Yeah, sure.
And the humble. He's so humble.
Yeah,
I mean, Eddie Bravo is so humble. He's like, I don't know shit about anything. I don't know anything about anything. Like, is there? I don't know. Did they make that? Did they fly to the moon? Did they?
Yeah.
And I don't think. I mean, he doubles down on it sometimes.
Sure.
He really he goes there. But it's just that I think we need to explore these things because sometimes the conspiracy theories are right, and that's why. Yeah. That's why they keep popping up because it's like, oh, that one time, it was true.
Times, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm saying that they keep the narrative going.
Totally.
It's like it gets there's a little shot.
Yeah. Like Rogan, the Rogan one that I love the most is that he always comes back to Operation Northwoods, where like the generals were fully ready to like bomb an American
to fly
city.
A remote plane, isn't it? They had it all set up. They had a unmanned like 747 or something they were going to radio control and fly it into a city
Yeah.
and just
Yeah.
make it look like
The Cubans.
and people were going to be on it.
Yeah.
People were going to be on that flight.
Yeah.
And this is like fact.
Yeah. Yeah. Wikipedia.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Look into it.
Look
Look into it.